Hello, good morning. Welcome to another exciting time to talk about business. It is Business 360 and my name is Blyden Okem. In Business 360 today we'll look at some of the biggest stories in the world of business. We'll also look at the state of things regarding the stock market, the forex market as well as the commodity market. And also begin the conversation from China's Evergrande founder being investigated. Let's begin from there. China's Evergrande Group's founder is being investigated over suspected illegal crimes, according to the company, as creditors become increasingly concerned about the group's prospects amid an uncertain debt revamp plan and liquidation risks. The world's most indebted property developer, with more than $300 billion in total liabilities, did not state whether Hu Kaiyang was still in a position to run the company or what crimes he is being investigated for. Trading in shares of the company was suspended after a report that its chairman had been placed under police watch. Evergrande said the shares will remain suspended until further notice. Still on the European scene, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz warned about actions that could harm domestic industries in the European Union as a result of an anti-subsidy investigation into Chinese electric vehicles. Scholz said, "It is best to not be walking protectionist," during a discussion at the Berlin Global Dialogue Forum on Thursday. Let's find out more.
The economic model which I favor is to have a global competition. I'm very much in favor of globalization. I think it made it that billions of people left poverty, that many came up to middle class in many countries of the world, that many new cities had been built and will be built, and that we see new highways, new railways over the world, airports, hospitals, universities, schools, all these spreading up all over the globe, and this is a good thing. Our task must be that this is not just a part of the world, even if it's a big part, that our task must be to work for the whole world to participate from the chances of globalization and to grow and to have their own infrastructure and industrialization and things like that. And this would be also a much safer world, to say it.
In Africa, Kenyan investment banks and stockbrokers can now trade on the market platform of the Stock Exchange of Mauritius, SEM, potentially creating new offshore investment opportunities in the Indian Ocean island states. Kenyan investment banks and stockbrokers gain access to the Stock Exchange of Mauritius. The move by Mauritius Stock Exchange allows international members to align with African exchanges. The Mauritian exchange offers enticing fiscal benefits, including no withholding tax on dividends. Still looking at the Kenyan perspective. Despite the comparatively modest yield paid by Kenyan banks on demand deposits, savings in current accounts increased by 98.1 billion shilling in the first 7 months of the year. Demand deposit outpaced time deposits as Kenyans opt for quicker access to their savings. Foreign currency deposits surged by 35% due to the shilling's 19.6% depreciation. According to data from the Central Bank of Kenya, there was 1.7 trillion shilling in cash in freely accessible savings accounts in July, an increase of 38.9 billion shilling from June. Still in Africa, the Central Bank of Egypt, CBE, and the Central Bank of UAE, United Arab Emirates, have formally established a bilateral currency swap agreement involving the UAE dirham and the Egyptian pound. Up to 5 billion dirhams and 42 billion Egyptian pounds would be allowed for exchange. The deal is part of Egypt's efforts to find solutions for its ongoing economic challenges and crises. In Nigeria, The National Union of Banks, Insurance and Financial Institutions Employees has issued notice of shutting down operations to all financial institutions owing to the proposed indefinite strike by the organized labor. The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC) have resolved to shut down the country's economy from October 3rd, following inability of the federal government to roll out palliatives that would mitigate the effects of the fuel subsidy removal. Despite several moves by the government to avert the looming indefinite strike, the organized labor has insisted that until its demands are met, there would be no going back. Looking at confidence index level regarding SMEs in Nigeria. Small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs in Nigeria, are gearing up for a promising conclusion to 2023, with a significant 78% of them forecasting either steady or increased revenues in the remaining months of the year. These insights are part of the second edition of a MasterCard SME Confidence Index focusing on the Eastern Europe, Middle East and African region. 78% of Nigerian SMEs are optimistic about their growth prospects in the remaining months of 2023. 55% of Nigerian SMEs are concerned about the rising cost of doing business, and 42% of Nigerian SMEs are concerned about securing capital funding. Still in Nigeria. The 136th National Economic Council on Thursday affirmed that the $3 billion emergency loan for crude oil, which the federal government secured in August, will be deployed to stabilize the naira, whose value has continued to fluctuate in investors' and exporters' window and worsen in the parallel market, hitting 1,000 naira per dollar earlier this month. On August 16th, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) revealed that it secured an emergency $3 billion crude repayment loan from Afrexim Bank to relieve pressure on the naira. It said the loan would enable it to settle taxes and royalties in advance. Now concerning postal services in Nigeria. The Nigerian Postal Service has clamped down on illegal logistics operators in the Federal Capital Territory to sanitize the sector. In a clampdown exercise on Thursday, the enforcement team of the Courier and Logistic Regulatory Department, NIPOS, confiscated 20 motorbikes belonging to illegal operators. Some illegal operators affected are Henich, Mark Nemos, Downtown Grill, Ruthie's Logistics, and others in Abuja. In a statement, Shonda Dotun, the general manager of CLRD, said the exercise is necessary to reduce the number of unlicensed courier operators and curb insecurity. He says a similar clampdown has been carried out across states including Lagos, Ekiti, Ondo, Edo, Delta, Katsina, Ogun, Oyo, Rivers, and Kwara states. Here we'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll be looking at economic statistics all around the world and the very details of it. Don't go anywhere.
Aging. It's the price we pay for living. But it might not always be this way.
I think that in 50 years, we'll be able to take a 20-year-old and give them a treatment. They'll be Peter Pan. They'll be forever young.
Increasingly, science is revealing how we can slow our biological clocks.
The rate of aging is malleable.
And these tantalizing glimpses of an ageless future are attracting huge money.
Big investors are zeroing in on age reversal research.
But does the science live up to the hype? Can we really slow down aging? Or even stop it altogether?
When I started the field, it was like, well, let's see. We moved from hope to realizing the promise. If we can slow aging enough so that we don't have diseases of aging, then we will be happy. But there'll be a side effect. We might live longer.
I want you to walk back to me calling off every other letter of the alphabet, starting with A.
A. C. She might not look it, but Gitty is 98 years old. She's a participant in the Longevity Genes Project at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York.
My brother died in his mid-80s. My sister is now 103. I have a younger sister who is 90. My father died 5 days short of 95. My mother died at 85 or 86.
Not only longer, they live healthier.
For the past 25 years, Nir Barzilai has studied the long-lived in a bid to unlock the mystery of aging.
When I started studying the centenarian, the question is, do they just live longer or do they also live healthier? And the answer is yes, they're healthy. We have discovered several genes in our centenarians. If we can imitate them, if we can understand what happens to them, we can create it as a drug or some other intervention that we could use.
Nir's just one of a growing number of scientists chasing a future where aging is no longer inevitable. But what is aging? The longer you live, the greater the impact of molecular and cellular damage in your body, bringing you closer to death. As to why we age, one explanation is the disposable soma theory. There's an evolutionary trade-off between repair and reproduction.
It's not obvious why an animal should become more damaged as it gets older. And the
Welcome back. It is Business 360 and my name is Blyden Ukem. Looking at possibilities around aging, and the most fascinating part of it is what scientists are trying to do in order to change the narrative that humans can live longer. But let's move to global economy and talk about economic statistics all around the world. Beginning with expected data releases for today, Friday, September 29, 2023, the economic calendar. Let's look at the calendar this morning, what the statistics are and the indices are this morning. According to economic calendar this morning, as at 7:45 a.m. in France, inflation rates year-on-year according to preliminary estimates for September came out. The standing at 4.9%, and previous standing was still 4.9%. Consensus outlook was 5.1% and forecast 5.1%. But inflation rating according to preliminary estimates remains at 4.9%. Let's look at further in the day what the statistics would be. For 10 a.m. in the morning, inflation rates year-on-year flash estimate showed for September in the euro area 4.3%. A previous standing was 5.2%, and consensus 4.5%, and forecast 4.7%. But actual came out at 4.3%. Also, still around 10 a.m. in the morning, as highlighted with red, inflation rate year-on-year according to preliminary estimate for September for Italy came out at 5.3%, and previous standings 5.4%, and forecast 5.3%, same as forecast. And further in the afternoon, let's see what the prices or the indices would be in the afternoon. US core PCE price index month-on-month for August would be expected within the time 1:30 p.m. Previous standing was 0.2%. Similarly, at 1:30 p.m. Personal spending month-on-month in the US for August would come out, and previous standing was 0.8%, and personal income month-on-month for August in the US came out previously at 0.2%, and investors will be looking in this direction to see what the outcome would be compared to the forecast of 0.3%. Looking at global economy, beginning with the Dutch economy. inflation rates in Netherlands was lowest in 7 years rather. The Netherlands annual inflation rate eased sharply to 0.2% in September 2023 from 3% in August, marking the lowest rate since September 2016, according to preliminary estimates. Main downward pressure came from the broad decline in prices of energy, including fuels, in August. Additionally, inflation lowered for non-energy industrial goods, services, and food, beverages, and tobacco. Meanwhile, the harmonized CPI, which is a consumer price index, which is used to compare with other EU member states, is likely to fall 0.3% year-on-year, following a 3.4% rise in the previous month and pointing to the first deflation in 7 years. And quickly, let's look at the charts indicating Netherlands inflation rates this morning. The charts. The charts in Netherlands has been with its ups and downs, but in recent times it's been a huge decline. For the past 1 year, are declining consistently. As at October 2022, inflation, which indicates increase in price of commodities and a weakness in the currency, was at 14.3%. It dropped slowly to 7.6% at the beginning of this year, January 2023, went slightly up to 8% in February, before dropping to 5.2% in April 2023, and downward to 4.6% in July, and currently 0.2%, entering the deflation zone. In Vietnam's gross domestic product advanced 5.33% year-on-year in the third quarter of 2023, faster than a 4.05% growth in the second quarter and pointing to the 8th consecutive period of expansion, but slower than at 18.71% growth in the same period last year, according to flash data. The main contributor to the expansion was the service sector, which grew by 6.24%, mainly boosted by retail and tourism, followed by industry and construction and agriculture, forestry and fisheries. The service sector is estimated to account for about 40% of the GDP. The industry and construction also grew by 1.65%, the lowest pace of the same period of 2011 to 2023, due to weakening global demand. For this year, the government expects the economy to expand by around 6.5%, below a decade high of 8.02% touched in 2022. It would be a good time to look at the commodities then. What the prices of different commodities from agricultural market to the energy would be this morning. Let's begin with the grain markets. December corn futures were closed at 1 month high, according to the closure of yesterday's market. But Ted Seyfried discusses this. Let's have more.
Corn prices were moderately higher today, and this has been kind of a trend recently. It's actually producing the highest close that we've had since August 28th. Now, that's not saying a whole lot, considering that we're about 20 cents off the lows that we put in a little over a week ago. It has been a rather tight range for about a month and a half now. So, challenging the upper end of that range and really challenging the upper end of the range that we've had for quite some time. So that is becoming interesting, especially since it's happening in front of one of the major USDA reports of the year, which is the quarterly grain stocks report. Now, as you can probably guess from the name, this is a quarterly report. There are 4 of them every year, but this one being the most important because this one represents old crop ending stocks and new crop beginning stocks. Those are the same number, by the way, but it is what we're going to be carrying into the next marketing year. It's the cushion that we've had from last crop to this crop. The trade is expecting a 1.429 billion bushel carryover, or quarterly grain stocks number. That's compared to the USDA's September estimate, September WASDE report estimate.
Now to the agricultural market. Let's see what the prices for grains are this morning, talking about wheat, soybeans, and the rest. The market this morning. The agricultural market have shown positivity for soybeans. Soybeans moving 2.75 points upward, $1,303 per bushel. For wheat prices moving upward by 5.86 points, a 1.05% appreciation. Market is moving fast, 6.11 points increase. $584 US per bushel is the price of wheat. For palm oil is slightly downward by 1 point this morning. 3,770 Malaysian ringgit per ton is the price of palm oil. Now to the energy market. Oil heads for monthly quarterly gains. WTI and Brent crude futures held above $92 and $93 per barrel respectively today, and were set to close both the month and the quarter higher as tightening global supplies outweighed demand's uncertainties. Oil rallied as OPEC Plus majors Saudi Arabia and Russia extended a combined supply cut of 1.3 million barrels per day through the end of the year, stoking fears of a wider market deficit in the fourth quarter. Well, let's move to the market and see what the prices for the US crude and Brent crude are this morning in the market amid all these fears. The energy market. The energy market this morning has shown some positivity, but the volatility level is quite low. US crude, which is the West Texas Intermediate crude, current price is $92 22 cents per barrel, upward by 0.513 points, a 0.56% appreciation. For Brent, which is Nigeria's price benchmark, the current price is $93 per barrel, upward 0.19 points, a 0.2% appreciation. Natural gas, gasoline, a little here, a little there, heating oil, same story, and coal are dropping 0.6 points this morning. Let's also have a look at the industrial market, what the price of bitumen is. Bitumen gaining 42 points this morning, 3,973 Chinese yuan per ton, upward by 1.07%. Cobalt, no significant difference at the closure of this week. This week, the price of cobalt had not changed. For leads, lead price is a 45.5 points increase, $2,220 per ton, gaining 2.09 points, while aluminium is upward by 45 points, tin price is downward by 362 points, and zinc gaining 21.5 points in the market. Let's look at the metals. The price of gold is upward by 8.81 points this morning. Current price is $1,873 per ounce for gold. Silver price at $23 per ounce, 0.441 points upward. Copper price, a little here, a little there, not much, and steel gaining 18 points this morning. Now to the foreign exchange. Jim Laurier has more regarding crypto insight as Bitcoin. Question would be, is Bitcoin buoyant? Let's look at the buoyancy of Bitcoin. A strength in the US dollar derailing Bitcoin's momentum. Let's have insights by Jim Laurier.
Since September 1st, the S&P 500 has lost over 5.5% of its value. Now, the reason for the move appears to be an adjustment to higher rates and the belief that those rates could stay higher for longer. U.S. two-year yields were 4.85% up September 1st and now sit near 5.10%. Interestingly, though, Bitcoin has traded higher in the same time period, defying both the notion of its return to correlation with risk assets and the belief that it's inversely correlated to interest rates. Perhaps the most shocking component of Bitcoin's strength, though, is that it comes in the face of a meteoric rise in the U.S. dollar, which has traded higher for 11 straight weeks since mid-July and is up almost 3% just since September 1st. Now, although the reason for Bitcoin's buoyancy has been the subject of much debate, some analysts believe a push by lawmakers to pressure the SEC into approving a spot.
Let's look at the markets, beginning with cryptocurrency markets, and what the prices are for Bitcoin this morning. The cryptocurrency this morning has shown some positivity but huge negativity, for Bitcoin dropping 56 points this morning after hitting the 27 plus mark. Current price for Bitcoin is $27,043 US, a downward by 0.2% decline. Ether price is upward by 16.03 points, $1,672 US is the price of Ether. Binance gaining 5.3 points, Cardano, Solana, Ripples a little here, a little there. And let's look at the euro against the US dollar and afterwards Naira's perspective in the market. The euro against the US dollar this morning has gone up a bit, away from the 1.05 point mark to 1.06 point mark now, gaining 0.5% increase this morning. For pound against the US dollar, back up to 1.22 point mark, A slight gain in the morning market, 0.5% appreciation. Let's look at Naira amid these mix against the majors. The US dollar against the Naira, current price 777 Naira, equaling $1 US, upward, but no significant much difference in the market. The euro against the Naira, a current price 841 Naira, equaling €1 at the close of yesterday's market. The euro gained 25.14 points over the Naira. At the close of yesterday's market, the pound against the Naira, a Naira is at 974 Naira to £1, a gain of 30.94 points for the pound over the Naira. And quickly to the black market, the power market, let's see what the prices are this morning. Dollar to Naira price, it's still at the 1,000 margin. Buying rate 1,007 Naira equals $1. Selling rate 995 Naira equals $1. For pounds to Naira, it's 1,265 Naira to a pound. At the buying rate and selling rate, 1,255 Naira. A euro to Naira, a buying rate is 1,052 Naira equaling €1, and selling rate 1,040 Naira. And it stretched the spread in there. Well, amid concerns in the market and also the stock market from the Asian point of view being in the advanced level, and the Nigerian stock also of being that of mixed fortune, but here we draw the curtain on today's edition of Business 360. Thank you for being a part of it. My name is Blyden Ukem.